sure that to you, I look pretty odd wearing this mask. Personally, I think it makes it look like I'm wearing a dog's muzzle. But this is what I have to wear when I leave my apartment quite often. And you might be asking yourself why. And the reason is because I have what's called multiple chemical sensitivities. And what this means is that when I'm exposed to certain chemical scents, I get sick. And when I leave my apartment, I run the risk of being exposed to these chemical products, these scents, from people that are wearing perfume, from when doors open and your air freshener comes out, from dryer vents, from car air fresheners, and even when I go into the different stores. And I'm not the only one that's affected by chemical scents. There's many other people, and there's also it affects our environment. So you might be asking yourself, well, what does this have to do with me? Well, the truth of the matter is that if you are one of the people that is using scented products, you might be one of the people that's making me sick. Other people like me sick, or the environment sick. MCS, which is the short version of multiple chemical sensitivity, is brought on most of the time by a large dose of a chemical being exposed to that. In my case, it was carbon monoxide poisoning, which is actually a very common trigger for MCS. But I've also heard of formaldehyde, insecticide, industrial cleaners, fuel oil, lots of different things can bring it on. And what that means is that once our body has been exposed to this massive dose of chemicals, from that point on, we can't process chemicals properly, and when we're exposed to even small doses, it makes us sick. MCS is not the only type of illness that is affected by chemical scents. People that have asthma are also. According to davidsuzuki.org, citing a paper done by the American Journal of Medicine, 3 out of 4 people that have asthma have reported having an asthma attack brought on by chemical scents. And since there are 34 million Americans that have asthma, according to the American Academy for Asthma and Immunology, that means that 25 million people have been affected by chemical scents bringing on an asthma attack. That's a lot. 25 million people. In 2005, over 3,000 people died from asthma. And I cannot help but wonder how many of those people, how many of those deaths were brought on by a scented product or exacerbated by a scented product. That's a lot. That's way too many. Another type of illness that is affected by scented products are people that have migraines. And what a migraine is that it's an intense headache that lasts oftentimes for days. It is accompanied by nausea, disorientation, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound and smells. And it's pretty horrible. If you've ever had a migraine, you know what I'm talking about. But there's really no wonder that these things are affected by scented products. Over 3,000 chemicals go into making scented products, and most of them have not been tested to see whether or not they are toxic to humans or any kind of life forms. If you just think about it, the average person has the potential to have between 10 and 15 different chemical scented products on their bodies at any given time. The clothes that you wash are washed in a liquid that's scented. They're dried in a scented product. You use soap that's scented, shampoo, conditioner, makeup, deodorant, hand lotion, hand soap, hair products. And if you spray perfume, there you go, you're adding more to it. And let's not forget about the environment that you live in. You have scented products, air fresheners, cleaning chemicals, hand soaps, dish soaps, and even hand sanitizers have scented products in them. All of which, any kind of a combination of chemicals that are untested that are contributing to our illnesses. And according to Health Canada, even if you use a product that is labeled unscented, not fragrance-free, but unscented, it doesn't mean it doesn't have a fragrance. It means that they've added a masking compound, which makes your brain think that you're not smelling something, but you really are. So at this point, you might be asking yourself yet again, what does this have to do with me? I don't have MCS or asthma or migraines, and if you're one of the blessed people that don't have those things, you're still being affected by chemical products. Your body has to process these chemicals, and that takes some energy. A lot of scented products have in them what's called DEP, which stands for diethyl phthalate. Phthalates are nasty little compounds that interfere with your hormones, and it has been linked to thyroid problems. The industry uses DEP because it's inexpensive and it makes the chemicals, it's a catalyst for the scented products. It makes them smell better longer. The European Commission on Endocrine Disruptors have listed phthalates as a Category 1 priority substance, which means that they are watching it and they're probably going to ban it pretty soon. Now, we talk about those phthalates. They affect us in lots of different ways. They bond on a cellular level, and they tell our bodies that we're getting too much hormones or we're not getting enough hormones. So our bodies are messed up and we are making too many or fighting what we believe to be hormones. And that's why they're considered endocrine disruptors. And an alarming trend they've seen recently that they are linking back to scented products is an increase in diabetes and insulin resistance in men. And is it any wonder? This is an endocrine-based disease, and we are all of a sudden, men's scented products is a new market that they're increasing selling products to men. And I think that anytime we find anything that is showing an increase in diabetes, and something as simple as just not using scented products could stop it, I just think that's mind-boggling. It just blows my mind. And now, it's not just in what we put on ourselves. It's also in the air that we breathe. Recently, a study was done by a Washington University scientist named Ann Steinman. She conducted experiments with laundry detergent and fabric softeners, and she found that by using the leading laundry soap and the leading fabric softener, over 25 volatile organic compounds, known as VOCs, were released from the dryer vents, 7 of which are known hazardous air pollutants that are not allowed to come out of smokestacks or car exhausts, but they can come out of your dryer vent. 2 of them are known carcinogens. Now we're seeing a rise in the incidence of cancer, and I can't help but put 2 and 2 together and wonder if that's part of our problem. And don't forget that not only is it coming out of your dryer vent, but when you wear those clothes, you're breathing those carcinogens, the potential to breathe those carcinogens in all day long. If we were to add up all the dryer vents and the air pollution from the dryer vents and from the products that we're using and that we're spraying in the air, if we could somehow measure all of the pollutions that we're putting in the air, I think that we would all be really shocked. I also think that that would explain a lot of the things that the scientists are noticing with insects and invertebrates, that they are finding that there are some problems with hormone-related issues. Now, a lot of animals use hormones to communicate with each other, like ants and bees. And we all remember a couple years ago when all of a sudden we didn't have any bees, and I have to wonder if that was part of the problem. And we all know from grade school biology that if we disrupt something low down on the food chain, that it's going to affect those of us that are higher up on the food chain, and that's not good. We also are having a problem with our water. Now, unless you use an unscented shampoo or laundry soap or something like that I use, everything that we're using, these chemicals are going down the drain, and that goes into our water table. And even when we dust, that's dander and dust and particles from these products that we're using, that's being washed down the drain. And let's not forget the landfills and the trash and the things that are contributing to pollution in our water table. And even our water systems that filter the water treatment plants, they're not filtering it out. Recently a study done by scientists on the Puget Sound in Washington, and then also another study done in the Great Lakes by both Canada and America working together, they have found these phthalates, again, these hormone disruptors, are in the animals and in the silt. Specifically, 2 musks, synthetic musks, were found in the fatty layer of fish. And they have also found that these are bioaccumulant, and there's a correlation between the rise in the production of these musks and the pollution. So what this means is that as we make more and more products with this musk, more animals, more pollution is found, and more problems are found in our animals and our invertebrates. And it doesn't go away. It just builds and builds and builds and builds the more we use. Now, personally, I think that it's just a lack of education that is our problem with using scented products. There's no regulation. The perfume industry is self-regulating. I think that if people knew the truth about the toxins and the pollution that we're creating and what we're putting on ourselves and putting in the air, they would probably stop using them. But we are the product of marketing, and we are being brainwashed, and I did choose that word purposely. We are being brainwashed into believing that we are better people, that we're going to live better lives if we use these scented products. And until someone stands up and starts getting these regulations put in place, and until people learn exactly the true nature of what we're using, people like me are going to continue to have to wear masks like this out in public when we go out in public, or we're going to have to keep being sick. My goal with this speech was to help you to understand some of the dangers in using scented products, and hopefully you'll think twice before you use them, or maybe you'll even stop using them.